A very inspiring mystery for me was the fact that in particle physics some events are just considered very rare, and collisions in the accelerator take place millions of times, and only sometimes things like the Higgs boson are detected. And for me, it's hard to understand why, by doing the exact same thing millions of times, something different might come out. And this goes down to quantum physics and to how nature is non-deterministic.
The Higgs boson discovery in 2012 wasn't necessarily unexpected, since both the ATLAS and the CMS experiments were precisely designed, among other things, to be as sensitive as possible to the detection of these new particles, which ended up being the last piece in the standard model of particle physics puzzle. However, its relatively speaking low mass of 125 gigaelectron-volts is surprising, and it leads to the question of why is it so low? So these and many other questions makes it also so exciting to be an experimental particle physicist in this moment when we're looking for the unexpected.
Everything you visit, you learn, you see is completely unusual from, your common life, everyday life. Everything, the process they use, the methodologies, the questions, everything, is completely and obey different principles, law, and methods in order to go forward this quantum dimension.
The surprising thing about physics and fundamental research is not necessarily the technologies, but the question of gender, for example, and how the role of women have always been a key one in a lot of the scientific discoveries. I think for me that was one of the most surprising thing to learn about physics. I mean, I'm from South Africa, and the question of gender is quite big, and we've been actively trying to fix it. But for me to encounter it the way I encountered it when I arrived at the Geneva Observatory was surprising. For example, on my first day, I asked a question about hard science and science fiction. And instead of getting a technical answer, I was given an analogy about how Sheldon in the Big Bang Theory can be considered as sexually harassing the female protagonist, and that being the reality of science, which for me I had not thought about. It's not really about physics, but I think it is about physics, because at the end of the day, for physics to do the work that it needs to do, it requires all bodies, male, female, from all cultures, to actually decide what is physics. So for me, I think the most surprising and interesting thing I learned about physics was the importance of a more diverse approach to the imagining of physics.